Minister, we're voting on the BIA tonight. Your budget identified 2 fiscal anchors to balance operational spending by 2028, 2029, and to maintain a declining deficit to GDP ratio. Do you maintain that these are still your anchors?
Yes, I do.
I ask because your budget introduced a $78 billion deficit and over $140 billion in new spending. And since then, the supplementary estimates ask for an additional $5.4 billion. This includes $115 million.
Point of order. Are we?
Yes.
We're talking about the CRA 100-day plan during this meeting. I'm not sure why we're getting into budget discussions.
Well, as you know, I allow members wide latitude to question witnesses as they see fit. It's their time, and I allow them to use it as they like. So I'm going to allow this questioning. I see the Finance Minister was eager to answer these questions, so I will turn things back over to Ms. Kusi, and you have about 4.5 minutes left.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd be embarrassed if my government was spending this much money as well. And I assure you it's relevant because the more money your government spends, the more taxpayers have to pay. As I was saying, this includes $150 million in new operational funding for the CBC and $1 billion for Canada Post. And there's more spending still not included in either budget, $12 billion for your grocery benefit, which doesn't bring down the cost of groceries, as well as $6 billion for electric vehicle incentives. In the PBO's analysis of the budget, he found that there was just a 7.5% chance that your declining deficit to GDP anchor would actually be realized. And that analysis came before your government announced the billions in additional spending since the budget. Can you be honest with Canadians now and tell them exactly what percentage the likelihood of your fiscal anchor is to be met?
Well, I'm glad, first of all, that you focus on the budget. I mean, I hope you spend a lot of time reading it, because you'd find that Canada is one of the very few countries in the world, you don't need to take my word, but take the word of the International Monetary Fund, that says there's only 2 countries in the world which have the fiscal capacity to really help their people during this particular time. She mentioned Germany and Canada. Why? Because we have both a AAA credit rating. And she said countries which invest in infrastructure and housing and productivity innovation are going to be leading the way. And that's why you mentioned the grocery benefit. I would just I think, again, a bit of humility. This is helping 12 million Canadians. It may not be much for you, but I can tell you, when I look at folks in my neck of the wood and in my riding and across many regions, if you look at the numbers, it's going to help a lot of families. And you don't need to take it from me. Take it from Food Bank Canada and others. We said we have done a boost and a bridge.
2.2 million Canadians have had to use a food bank as a result of your government's 11-year record on the budget. That includes the $78 billion deficit that you just presented this year. And why did your budget not include the additional billions that you have since announced since you put forward your budget?
So what I was saying is that I think you should look at the grocery benefit and essential as helping families. So we said what we did when we look at that.
When I go to the grocery store in my riding, Minister, I can see people, they are filled with trepidation as they go to put items back in the aisle that they had in their cart.
Ms. Kusi, I have a point of order. Yes, Mr. McKenna.
I would ask the member to let the minister answer when she asks a question.
Mr. McKenna, as you know, the time is sacred, and while I do value responses from witnesses and do allow witnesses to finish their answers even after the time has expired, I think that's unique in this committee. Members do have to kind of have their elbows up to ensure they're heard in their time as well. Ms. Cooney, you have monsieur, c'est une point d'ordre.
Just point of order. In relation to the point of order, I think the tone was respectful. We've seen stronger emotions at committee. I think this was not necessary. Thank you.
Ms. Kusi, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. So did you deliberately mislead Canadians when you made your budget announcements in not including those billions of dollars that you have since spent?
I would say we presented an investment budget to Canadians, a vision to 2030, and I would say I'm just surprised by the tone and nature of your question, because the 12 million Canadians, would you suggest that we should not help Canadians at the time of need for food and grocery?
I would suggest you could help Canadians by spending less, by not having such an incredibly large deficit.
But would you suggest that it's not a Canadian value to help each other in times of need?
I would suggest it's a Canadian value to stick within your budget and to be honest about the amount of money that you are going to spend.
And when you have the fiscal capacity, like the IMF said, would you suggest that a country of the G7, which has the fiscal capacity,
I
will
would
help people who
think
need
that
it?
the IMF is not in the grocery stores of Calgary, Midnapore, seeing Canadians take groceries out of their cart and put them back in the aisle, Minister. Now, Minister, early on in the Prime
in Calgary,
Minister's leadership...
Midnapore, that will receive the
Just
benefits.
hold on, order. Just
Sure, they're not gonna
I've
be
got
very
points
proud.
of orders. Yes, Miss Yep. So
The minister isn't able to have a chance to respond.
well, he was. I mean, if you're going to interrupt with a point of order, Miss Yep.
That point of order, Mr.
I'm going to reset, Miss Kuzi. You have 1 minute to go. Mr. Champagne, Minister Champagne, you will have the last word. I do turn to the witnesses for a last statement anyway. Brevity, though, being the key word. Once the time is allows, Ms. Kuzi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, early on in the Prime Minister's leadership, you were proud to call yourself a partner, and you said that the two of you would be a mighty economic team. Is doubling the deficit what you meant by a mighty economic team?
I would say there's very few people in the world who would question the credential of the Prime Minister as a good steward of the
So
economy.
he made you do these, make these
And I would
decisions
say
to double the deficit.
Not
That's what
only
you're saying.
me, but if you look at the, I want you to bring in perspective, because the people of Calgary, Midnapore that are watching, I just want to understand that thousands of people are going to receive the grocery benefit. Are you saying it's not going to help them? Because I'm missing
saying if
that
you reined
that
in your
point.
spending, that's really what would help them, Minister.
But-
if you focused on the things that would allow them to pay less for groceries in the first place, that's truly what
And
would
the
help them,
structural
Minister.
measures so we can grow more food and have more abattoirs in the country so that we have more food production, more food security. You don't think that's important for
I
Canada?
think that's very important, and I think the best way that you can do that is by reducing the tax burden on them by spending less.
So no investment in your view.
And that is the time.
Thank you.